Hello guys! Today we have a new video and a new exciting story. Enjoy the Call of Duty background, prepare your coffee, and before we begin, please leave a like and smash the subscribe button. It truly makes me happy. And let's begin.
On the night of June 11th, 1962, in San Francisco Bay, the smartest prison escape in history took place. The fog wrapped around Alcatraz Island, giving it a grim appearance. Inside the prison walls, 3 men had spent months preparing a plan. Frank Morris was the mastermind and strategist among them. John Anglin and Clarence Anglin were the brothers who participated in the plan down to the last detail. The tools were not extraordinary. They were spoons, blades, pieces of wood, and scraps of paper. The work did not happen overnight, but over months of secrecy and patience. They expanded the ventilation openings one by one under the toilet sinks. They worked quietly during noisy hours so as not to attract attention. They made dummy heads from papier-mâché and real hair to place on the pillows. These dummies deceived the guards during morning inspections, appearing as sleeping bodies. In secret, behind the walls, they built a small passage leading to the service corridor. They collected raincoats and tied them together to make an inflatable raft. They sharpened wooden paddles from abandoned pieces of furniture. Every step was calculated to the minute, in line with the guard shift changes. They studied the guards' schedules and patrol movements with near-daily precision. The dummy heads were not primitive. The day. Their details were precise enough to fool the guards. The trick was that during the mornings came after days of preparation and anticipation. When the lights went out, they placed the dummy heads on the pillows. One of the smartest escape attempts in history. The cell looked calm. There was no known external friend who officially helped them in the operation. But the possibility of outside assistance remained part of the speculation. The tunnel they made was not underground. It was a back passage within the prison structure. Work inside the prison required hiding noise and echoes as much as possible. They used times of general noise to reduce the noticeability of their actions. Every night, they collected new materials slowly to avoid attracting attention. Trust among them was essential. Any individual mistake could have collapsed the entire plan. Frank Morris led the work with strictness, planning each step ahead. The Anglin brothers worked in harmony, each knowing and remembering his role. In one of the cells, another man failed to pass through the opening and stayed stuck inside. The 4th man who tried but did not complete the escape was Alan West. Alan attempted it, faced an obstacle, and was forced to remain in his cell. After failing, the escape was only possible through the harmony of timing, caution, and courage. When they reached the roof, they avoided security personnel with skill. The ceilings and walls above them were not suitable for easy climbing, but they did it. At the kitchen pipe, the jump was the most sensitive because it was under surveillance. Descending through the pipe led them to the edge of the island, seemingly unmonitored. The night weather was cool, but could not guarantee safety on the cold sea. The small inflatable boat carried little luggage, only essential tools. One of them carried some food and possibly an extra coat. They knew survival depended on reaching the shore quickly. The cold currents of San Francisco Bay were known for their danger. The boat might not withstand a strong wave or a sudden change in the current, yet they went out, because staying within the prison walls was daily death of another kind. The moments of inflating the raft were tense. Every sound could expose them. When the raft was pushed into the water, breaths were short and hopes long. The island's surface disappeared behind the fog, and the lights seemed distant, like a memory. They left no trace on the shore, except faint footprints that the tide erased. During the morning inspection, the guards found the fake pillows and empty beds. The investigation began immediately. But the sea had closed the door to the truth. The news spread quickly, and newspapers covered the incident as a sensational story. The media described it as a bold and uncertain attempt. The story circulated and became a topic of discussion in gatherings and forums. In the prison itself, new security measures were repeated to ensure it wouldn't happen again. But that night, they had already disappeared, and the 3 entered history. The days leading up to the escape were full of endurance and daily determination. They hid from the guards' eyes and collected small items every day. Some believe the dummy heads on the pillows were the reason for the success of the ruse. Others believe the secret lay in the fog and the silence itself. What is clear is that the plan relied on multiple elements at once. These elements came together to form a critical moment from which they launched. Thus unfolded a night whose details no one forgets. They had no guarantees, only the strongest engine, the desire for freedom. This desire made them brave enough to face the sea and its dangers. In the morning, attention had increased, and official circles began the search. Reports were filed, and the scenes were described as strange. No signs of death, no clear evidence of survival. This lack of evidence left the ending open to possibilities. In collective memory, the image remained: the raft at night and the difficulty of the waters. Some recalled the patience and hiding of work under pillows and clever tricks. Some remembered the struggle against the current, if it had occurred, of course. But the true story remained somewhere between what was known and what people did not see. In the nights that followed, the shores were monitored for any trace. The search continued for days and weeks, but the sea offered no decisive answer. The search reached the point of involving naval units and helicopters, but without result. What remained were fragments of cloth and pieces of wood on the water's surface. These fragments were insufficient to confirm their fate conclusively. With the absence of bodies, theories of survival and disappearance multiplied. Some accounts spoke of sightings on distant shores, but none were substantiated. No definitive evidence, no official return, only a disappearance tinged with legend. In people's minds, the image remained: 3 shadows swallowed by the cold water. The sound of the tide continued to whisper what might have happened after their departure. The bay's waves do not easily reveal their secrets, and that night was just one of many. If the sea swallowed them, it happened quickly and cruelly. If they survived, they chose to disappear among humans and erase their traces completely. Both possibilities were plausible and more realistic than any fiction. In the first hours, the search did not stop, and people's questions did not cease. But the next night brought new silence, and the incident resonated deeper. What they had built with their hands inside the prison was enough to cross the threshold of danger. What gives this story its power is that it ended at the very moment of departure. The end of the story was not written in judgments, but in the expanse of waves before the raft. 3 men gathered tools, precision, and courage in a small boat. They surged into the sea as their absolute desire for freedom surged. Since then, no one has had conclusive certainty about their fate. It is a moment that leaves us, the image of the men drifting away as the fog swallowed their trace. On some old nights, soldiers and guards spoke of those shadows. In city cafes, the story was retold in wonder and hushed voices. Their story moved from police notebooks to newspaper pages, then into memory. The dummies, coats, secret passage, every part became a symbol of the bold step. The sea took a place in the story, either as judge or as faithful concealer. At the end of the night, the truth remained suspended on a rope of possibilities. I chose to end the story here, where water mingles with shadows. No final statements, no conclusive testimonies, only 2 possibilities enough to spark curiosity. 3 men left the prison. They either drowned or disappeared into another world. This is the event as it happened, without additions, lectures, or lessons. Everything stopped at the moment they went out into the unknown sea. The waves of the bay remained silent witnesses to their final decision, and the winds carried their secrets far away, never to return. The story ends at the point where questions began to accumulate. No single ending was written. Instead, narratives became multiple. Every reader can choose the ending they believe most. Some see the ending as tragic, others as the beginning of a new, unknown life. And I end the narrative at that moment, the launch of the raft at night. In the middle of the sea, footsteps stopped and the waves hid the endings. 3 shadows were swallowed or successfully surrendered for freedom. The story ended with one decision: casting the prison behind them and entering the water. No further confirmed details exist after this point, only shadows and possibilities. What remains of this moment became a legacy, told and retold by people. Thus ended the story of the Alcatraz escape as requested at the moment of departure. The last line was closed with their absence. leaving the shadow of choice open. If you want a longer version with dramatized details or in a different style, let me know. If you want adjustments in tone or style, I'm ready. Now the story has reached you in full, translated as requested in the past tense. This was the story of the night of June 11th, 1962, ending at the edge of the sea and imagination.